Week 1 of the NFL season has finally wrapped up, and I was wrong about many things. So let's talk about those things I was wrong about, and these are my Week 1 reactions. Let's start off with the first game of the season, which was the Rams versus the Bills. This game was actually kind of close in the first half. The score was 10-10 at the end of the second quarter. It was more of a defensive showcase from both teams in the first half. It was kind of sloppy. There was a lot of turnovers and stuff. But once the third quarter started, it was a whole new game, and the Bills just started dominating the Rams. And they ended up winning 31-10. The biggest thing I took away from this game was the Rams' offense, and really just their offense in whole. They really were not doing anything unless if they were throwing to Cooper Kupp. Literally the only other person on that offense who had a somewhat productive game was Darrell Henderson. Allen Robinson got one catch. But yeah, the Rams offense was literally just the Cooper Kupp show. And I guess that's not all that bad because Cooper Kupp is still extremely elite. But you obviously can't count on just one player to win you a game. Cam Akers did quite literally nothing this game. He had 3 carries for a whopping 0 yards. And Stafford did not look good out there, but I don't think that's 100% his fault because the Rams' offensive line looked very rough. It's almost like every play Stafford was being pressured and he would have to force it out to Cooper Kupp. Which kind of does make sense when you think about why nobody else on the Rams' offense did anything that game. But still, the Rams just didn't look that good. Did not look good that game, but I think they'll end up being all right. They did play one of the best defenses in the NFL. Moving on to the Bills, Josh Allen looked amazing. Yes, he did have 2 interceptions, but I don't think either of those were his fault. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis played great. And this Bills offense, other than a few plays, just looked really good that game. And they were doing this against the Rams defense, who I think is one of the best defenses in the league, talented-wise. But yeah, I really don't have much to say about this game, probably because it was a couple days ago. But the main things is, the Rams obviously cannot rely on Cooper Kupp and Cooper Kupp only. Their offensive line could definitely be a concern. And the Bills are the best team in the league, and if Josh Allen plays like this every week, he's going to win MVP. Now let's move on to my Carolina Panthers versus the Cleveland Browns. This game was one of the many things that I was wrong about. I expected us to go out there and beat up on the Browns. I thought Baker was going to have a revenge game, and that obviously didn't happen. The final score was 26-24, which made the game feel a lot closer than what it really was. The only reason that game was that close was because we had a random resurgence in the fourth quarter. The first thing I want to say is that I was very wrong about the Browns. I thought that they were just going to suck without Watson, but I forgot that they're still a very well-rounded, talented team, especially in their running game, which is what killed us on defense. We could not stop the Browns' rushing attack. Nick Chubb was very good. Kareem Hunt was very good, both rushing and receiving-wise. But yeah, I guess I just forgot that the Browns were a very solid team, even if Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback. He's not even that bad either. Now, I didn't have a complete change of mind, and I now think the Browns are going to be one of the best teams in the league, even without Watson. I do think that they are going to struggle at times. I do still think they'll end up being okay because they have a very good defense, they have one of the best running games in the league, and their receiving will eventually come along. But as for my Panthers, I'm just disappointed. There's not much I really got to say. Baker definitely could have played better, but I'm not saying it's all 100% his fault because the offensive line didn't look good either. But one thing that Baker did that got me mad was he kept on fumbling the snaps. I don't know what that's about, but I think we definitely could have won this game if we just did a little more on offense. CMC didn't do anything. DJ Moore didn't do anything, and that hurts me because he's on my fantasy team, and I had Michael Thomas on my bench. Robbie Anderson's stats look good on paper, but most of that was just from one play. And where was Terrence Marshall? But overall, I underestimated the Browns, and I won't do that again. I'm just disappointed about my Panthers. Next up, we got the Colts versus the Texans. There's not much that I can say about this game because I didn't watch it. I predicted the Colts to win. They didn't win. All I really gotta say is the Colts might be a little concerning if they're tying with the Texans. Now, everything is weird in week 1. I obviously don't think that this is how the Colts truly are and that they're just some poverty team. But it is just a little scary that they tied with the Texans and all of their top offensive players played pretty well. But I did not watch this game, so there's probably a lot of stuff that I missed out on. But yeah, Colts, please don't be disappointing this season. Next up, Ravens versus Jets. I thought that this game was actually going to be pretty close and fun to watch. I don't know what possessed me to say that. Because it wasn't. The Ravens won 24-9 and they looked dominant the whole game. Lamar looked great. And Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay both had very similar stat lines. Mark Andrews can be thrown in there too. And I don't know if this is a show for things to come, but I do hope the Ravens can be like this, where they really just spread the love across the offense and multiple receivers are doing good. Because the Ravens don't have one definitive wide receiver one. What I'm basically just trying to say is that the Ravens and their receiving game are kind of going to be like just, one big group of a couple different receivers rather than just having one elite guy like other teams do. I don't even really know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of hard to explain. What I'm basically just trying to say is if the Ravens are running a system where everybody is eating and not just one specific guy, I think that's going to be very fun to watch. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. The Ravens looked very good on both sides. And the only thing I got to say about the Jets is that Sauce Gardner looked very good. I think he's definitely going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year and probably even be like a top 10 corner by the end of the season. I'm very high on Sauce Gardner. Next up, let's talk about the Jaguars versus the Commanders. This is another game I didn't watch because why would I? But it looks like this actually turned out to be a pretty good game. It looks like Carson Wentz had a very good game. Jahan Dotson had 2 touchdowns. And the Jaguars looked like they played pretty solid too. Like I said, I didn't watch this game, so there's not really much I have to say other than just looking at the stats. And I also just don't know what to think about both of these teams this year. I do think the Commanders have a little bit of potential this year, and the Jaguars could not be poverty, maybe. But yeah, there's not much I gotta say about that game. Now moving on to the Steelers versus the Bengals. Wow, what a game this was. I think this was the best game of week 1. A game between two rivals, especially in the AFC North, will always be good. And that's what this game was. But the only reason the Steelers won this game was because of their defense. Which is kind of just what I think about the Steelers already. They're only going to be competent because of their defense. And their offense does have some talent on it, but their quarterback situation is just too questionable for me. The Steelers won the turnover differential this game by 5, which basically means that the Bengals turned the ball over 5 more times than the Steelers did. And even with that, the Steelers only won this game by 3 points, which was an overtime field goal. Now, I don't think the Bengals deserve to win this game. If you turn the ball over that much, you don't deserve to win a game. But the Steelers' defense won this game by that little when they caused that much turnovers. I'll admit I'm a little bit of a Steelers hater. I'm not going to discredit the Steelers because they won this game, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters, but it just wasn't a pretty win. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the Steelers would have lost this game if the Bengals had their long snapper. But there was a few injuries in this game too. TJ Watt is feared to have a torn pec. Najee didn't play the second half. I'm pretty sure T. Higgins didn't play the second half either. Just an all-around ugly football game, missed kicks to win the game and everything. But it was very fun to watch, at least towards the end. And oh, another thing, Jamar Chase was elite. I love watching him play. I mean, look at this picture. Let's talk about the Eagles versus the Lions, and wow, what a game. 38-35, Eagles win. Now, this is another game where the final score makes it seem like it was very close, but it really wasn't. I was watching the game here and there, and in the times I was watching it, it always felt like the Eagles had the game under control. The Eagles' offense as a whole looked very solid. Jalen Hurts went off. He didn't have a passing touchdown, but that's okay. Miles Sanders did very well. But A.J. Brown, what a debut for him. I mean, he looked unstoppable out there. If the Eagles play like this all year, they're going to be a very good team. Now, obviously, they can't be giving up 35 points, but I don't think that final score dictates how good the Eagles really played. Moving on to the Patriots versus the Dolphins. The Patriots looked pretty bad. And the Dolphins didn't really look good either, but they definitely didn't look bad. The Dolphins' defense looked pretty solid, holding the Patriots to just 7 points. And for the Dolphins on the offensive side, it was just Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, which is kind of what I expected. I did think this game would be a little closer, and it wasn't. But the Dolphins still won, which is what I predicted, so I'm happy about that. And Tua did look pretty okay. He did have a couple Tua plays, if you know what I mean, but he still looked solid. Now on to the Saints versus the Falcons. The Saints didn't look good for most of this game. The Falcons were up 26-10 with like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they obviously blew the lead. For the Falcons on offense, Drake London played pretty good, which I'm happy about. And Cordero Patterson, well, he killed it. And as for the Saints, Michael Thomas looked very well. He caught 2 touchdowns, which upset me because I benched him in fantasy. I don't want to talk about it. Jarvis Landry had 7 catches for 114 yards, which is very good. One thing that confused me and got me a little mad was that Taysom Hill had a very good game and Alvin Kamara barely did anything. That gets me frustrated because Alvin Kamara is on my fantasy team. The Saints did end up grabbing the win though, which is nice. I used to not like the Saints before, but now I actually kind of like them a little bit. And it's probably just because Jameis is just such a cool guy. He's without a doubt the funniest dude in the league, and he's actually gotten pretty good in the past couple years. But yeah, the Falcons blew a lead. Who's surprised by that? Next up, 49ers versus the Bears. If you saw the weather for this game, then you would know that this game was obviously going to end up looking pretty ugly. I thought the 49ers were just going to manhandle the Bears. That obviously didn't happen. Trey Lance did struggle a bit, but there's not really much that you can say about this game because of how much of an X factor the weather was. I mean, there was puddles all over the field. One thing I will say is that this game looked very fun for the players. Finally, moving on to the 4 o'clock games, let's start with the Chiefs versus the Cardinals. The Chiefs dominated. Patrick Mahomes is insane. There's nothing more I have to say about that game. Giants versus Titans. This is a game I didn't watch a lot of, and I kind of wish that I did, because Saquon Barkley went off, and I do like Saquon Barkley. The only things I really saw from this game was Saquon Barkley highlights and the Titans missed field goal that lost them the game. Yeah, NFL kickers really struggled this week, except Cade York, who drilled a 60-yarder to beat my Panthers, which, to be honest, I'm not even that mad about. Now the Raiders versus the Chargers. This one was a good game, as I was expecting. Devontae Adams proved that he's still one of the best receivers in the league, even without Aaron Rodgers. Justin Herbert played extremely well, which I am happy about. Keenan Allen also played well before he got injured, which kind of hurt me because one, I do like Keenan Allen, and two, he's on my fantasy team. What can I say? But yeah, the Chargers just looked like an overall very well team. Herbert and the offense was killing it, and the defense was doing very good too, especially Khalil Mack, who had 3 sacks. And as much as I want to praise the Chargers, I also have to praise the Raiders because this was only a 5-point game, and the Raiders honestly probably would have won if Derek Carr didn't throw in 3 interceptions. But yeah, that game was very solid as I was expecting. Now moving on to the Vikings versus the Packers, all I got to say about this game is that Justin Jefferson is the GOAT, and Aaron Rodgers is nothing without Davante Adams. That last part is obviously a joke, but I am concerned about the Packers. I mean, this game kind of seemed over when Christian Watson dropped that wide open touchdown. But yeah, the Packers, I'm a little concerned about them. The Vikings looked very exciting. Justin Jefferson was amazing, but it's going to haunt me the rest of the season that I drafted Dalvin Cook over him in fantasy. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, Bucs versus Cowboys. I thought this was going to be one of the best games of the week. It wasn't. It was very boring and sad to watch. The Cowboys just couldn't get anything going on offense. And it now sucks that Dak is injured. I really feel bad for him and the Cowboys. And as for the Bucs, they really didn't do anything great. I mean, yeah, they held the Cowboys to 3 points, which is good. But on offense, they really didn't do much spectacular. Leonard Fournette did do very good, though. And Micah Parsons looked pretty solid this game, too, which I am happy about because I do think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Julio Jones had a couple nice plays, which I'm happy about. Chris Godwin also got injured this game. I'm pretty sure he didn't play the whole second half. Not much to talk about that game. It had a lot of potential to be great, and it obviously wasn't. Now Monday Night Football, Seahawks versus Broncos. And I'm going to keep things short and simple here. The Broncos would have won this game if they just didn't fumble every time they got to the goal line. Also, what was that last play call? Why would you not go for it? Why would you not go for it? It's 4th and 5, and you have Russell Wilson. But instead of going for it on 4th down, you decide to milk all the clock to call a timeout to then make your kicker go out there and attempt a 64-yard field goal. And that obviously didn't work out. That last play call was just so flabbergasting to me. But shout out to the Seahawks though. Their defense came through that game, and Geno Smith is the GOAT. Hopefully the Broncos can have a bounce back week because that was a pretty embarrassing performance. Now, before I end this video, I do want to introduce something. It's called Team of the Week, and it's basically just the players that I think played the best this week. So let's do it. For quarterback, I have Patrick Mahomes. He went off. He had 5 touchdowns. He looked great. For a close second, though, I would have Justin Herbert. For running back, I got Saquon Barkley. It's great to see him back. And I mean, just go look at his numbers. He played amazing. Wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. What else is there to say? But a couple other options I'll give are Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, and Cooper Kupp. But I think Justin Jefferson deserved the most out of all of them. Now for defense, I'm just going to give it to a whole defensive unit as a whole, which is the Steelers. I mean, yeah, I was talking crap about them earlier, but the Steelers defense did play exceptionally well on Sunday. As much as I don't like them, the Steelers defense was elite. If you force 5 turnovers, you were the best defense in the league that week. If I had to give it to a specific player, though, it would be Minkah Fitzpatrick. He had 14 tackles, a pick 6, played very well. And if I was going to give it to another defensive player outside of the Steelers, it would be Khalil Mack. He had 3 sacks against his former team. It's very nice to see. But yeah, that's really it. I'm not very proud about this video, to be honest, but I felt like I had to get this out. But hopefully next week my reactions to week 2 are better. I just gotta make better scheduling for this videos. There's no reason I should be recording this on Wednesday evening. And honestly, I gotta edit my videos better too, but I don't have all that equipment. All I have is my phone. But yeah, if there's anybody watching this, I appreciate y'all for watching. And I'm gonna give my Thursday night football predictions. Chiefs versus Chargers. I got the Chargers. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it.